Hello, my name is Gareth P. Jones. I'm a children's author and I'm recording this for Leeds Library to celebrate this year's Summer Reading Challenge. My book, Dragon Detective Catnapped, which came out this year, is on the list, and I've got half an hour to talk to you, which seems like quite a long time, but then I realised I've got quite a lot of books, so maybe I'm just going to talk you through all of those books. Just so you know, I'm not one of those authors who's going to spend a long time editing this. There's going to be some ums and ers. If you want to play the game of counting the ums and ers, then by all means do, and tell me how many I get through by the end of the talk. So now I'm going to start off. There's another one there. Now I'm going to start off with the first book I ever had published, which is called this: The Dragon Detective Agency, The Case of the Missing Cat. When I got the idea for this book, I wasn't a children's author. I was a TV producer. I used to work for a couple called Richard and Judy. I have to say that quietly in case they're listening. I think they follow all of their ex-employees and to keep tabs on what they're saying. So I used to work with Richard and Judy, and they were very nice, just in case you're listening. I had a little summer break. It's the summer at the moment. And during my summer break, I was sitting reading a book, and it was a detective book. And I was looking out the window, and I saw a squirrel, and I was watching the squirrels. And I saw a squirrel jump over the top of a man's head. And when I saw a squirrel jump over the top of a man's head, it gave me an idea about writing about things that happen above our heads that maybe we don't notice because we don't stop to look and see what they are. And that's how I came up with the idea for the Dragon Detective Agency. And so I started writing this idea down on a computer like this. And then I kind of forgot about it. I completely forgot about this beginning of a story that I'd written until my wife read it. I don't know why she was reading my stuff without my permission, but she did. And she persuaded me to send it to somebody who went ahead and published the series of books. So this was the first one, The Dragon Detective Agency, The Case of the Missing Cats. The second one, they should be in order here. The second one is called The Case of the Wayward Professor. The third one was Case of the Vanished Sea Dragon. And the fourth one is The Case of the Stolen Film. However, these books, originally published by Bloomsbury, are no longer in print. I know, it's quite sad, isn't it? But I have other books to tell you about. So moving on. After I had those books published, I then had an email. Which was titled Ninja Meerkat. It's quite nice being a children's author because sometimes you get emails that have funny titles like Ninja Meerkat. And I like that name, Ninja Meerkat. And it turned out the email was asking whether I wanted to write those books. It wasn't just to me. The email was sent to lots of other writers, and lots of other writers had a go at trying to write the series Ninja Meerkat. And to my great joy, I won that little competition, that little contract, and I went on to write 10 Ninja Meerkat books. These are 9 of them. I think the 10th one's up there on the top of the poster. So the Ninja Meerkat. This one is number 10. The Hammer of the Thor. The Forbidden Palace. Ultimate Dragon Warrior. Big City Bus Stop. Basically a series in which there are ninjas who are meerkats, or meerkats who are ninjas. Now all of my books have songs, and I thought maybe I could sing you a little bit of the song. This instrument is called a ukulele. And the Ninja Meerkat song is a rap, and it goes like this. If you're up against Chuck, then you're out of luck, cause you'll slice and you'll swipe and you'll chop it up. If you ask to buy Bruce, then you better refuse, cause he's a rough and he's tough and you're bound to lose. They're the Scorpion Clan, they go from land to land, they fight from hand to hand, they do what they can to thwart a plan of an evil man. You have to join in with this. So clap your hands for the Scorpion Clan, and you have to go like this. Nice. And make some sound for the clans in town. You have to go like this. Ooh, yeah. Good. Clap your hands for the Scorpion Clan. And make some sound for the clans in town. Thank you very much. And so that was the series of books I wrote about Ninja Meerkats. Not long after I'd written a series of books about Dragon Detective Agency, but also I decided I wanted to write things that weren't series of books. And I had an idea just after the Dragon Detective Agency. It was a very simple idea. The idea was, what about a book about a pair of twins trying to kill each other? And so I wrote a book about a pair of twins trying to kill each other. Now this book, The Thornthwaite Inheritance, it's called The Thornthwaite Inheritance. However, no matter how many times I say The Thornthwaite Inheritance, once I go like that, everybody forgets what the book's called. It's that book about the pair of twins trying to kill each other. If I'd been a smarter author, you get lots of authors these days, much more savvy and smart and marketing. I would have called it that book about a pair of twins trying to kill each other, but I didn't. I called it The Thornthwaite Inheritance, and nobody can ever remember that title. However, this book has proved to be my most successful to date book, and people like to read this one and they like to get in contact with me and tell me why they enjoyed it. So anything else to say? That one has a song too, but I'm not sure I can do songs. I'll give you a quick bit of the song about it. The quick bit of the song about the Thornthwaite Inheritance. Oh no, actually, no, I don't. I'll do that for the next one. Right, okay, right. So come back to the Thornthwaite Inheritance shortly, because I have other books to tell you about. So once I'd finished the Ninja Meerkat books, I needed a new idea, and I wanted something really strong, like Ninja Meerkats. I wanted to follow up with a really good idea, but I didn't have an idea. Now, I don't know about where you get your ideas from. I get my ideas from all sorts of places. I sometimes just, as you've gathered, stare out the window. Sometimes I look at street signs or think about things or talk to people or write things down or read books or watch TV, all these sort of things. But my favourite way to get an idea is from playing. And I went out playing with my son a few years ago. He's now 10 years old. But back then he was more like 4 years old. And we were playing in a park, and in the park there was a playground. And in the park and the playground there was a pirate ship. And because we were playing in the park and the playground of the pirate ship, we were playing pirates. And we were playing pirates. But on this particular day, it was hot and sunny, and we were hot and sunny, and we'd run out of energy, and we'd run out of ideas, and so we just sat there, all lackluster and tired. And I turned to my son, and I said, Herbie, because that's his name. I said, Herbie, and he said, yes, Dad. And I said, do you know what we need? And he said, no, Dad. And I said, I'll tell you what we need. We need a pirate captain, because I felt like we needed somebody to come and enthuse us and come and join in our games. We needed someone to give us ideas, to give us inspiration, but we didn't have anyone to play with. So we sat there and we waited and we waited and we sat. And then as children were coming into the playground, I would shout, excuse me, are you the pirate captain? And then some of them would say, no, not. And then one of them said, yes, I am. And they came to play with us. And so we had a really good game of pirates. Now, if you are writing a book, then asking a question and then answering the question, it's very much how you write a book. So I asked that question, are you the pirate captain? I'd asked that question so many times during that play session that the question got stuck in my head like a song. And so I wrote down, are you the pirate captain, on a piece of paper. And then I developed that idea and I came up with this, my picture book, Are You the Pirate Captain? And that's how I got the idea for this picture book, which is illustrated by the fantastic Gary Parsons, and written by me, and it's all about some lackluster pirates who have lost their pirate captain because poor old Captain Sid, finding himself in a rhyming book, got eaten by a giant squid. Yeah, but actually that wasn't the book I meant to tell you about just now. What I was trying to tell you about was the next series I wrote after Ninja Meerkats, because there I was playing pirates with my son and this kid. I'm the pirate captain, that kid. And we were playing pirates, and then this kid, I'm the pirate captain, that kid, suddenly in the middle of a game of pirates, a perfectly good game of pirates, stopped and went, I am a robot. I'm a robot. I am a robot. He turned into a robot in the middle of a game of pirates. He turned into a robot. How very strange, I thought. However, when you are playing, when your imagination is free and you're coming up with all sorts of strange ideas like that, it can be quite a useful way to get ideas for books. And there we were playing pirates, and he turned into a robot. And I thought, pirates and robots and robots and pirates and robots and pirates. And so I wrote a series called The Adventures of the Steampunk Pirates. This is one of my favourite series, The Adventures of the Steampunk Pirates. Having written 10 Ninja Meerkat books, I wanted to write something slightly different with these. Well, very different, really. We've got the same book twice there. I must be missing one. Oh, yeah, it's back up there again, is it? No, it's not up there. Where is it? Where's the other one? Maybe I'll find it later on in the pile. I'm not very organised. Did I mention that? And I get very distracted. Anyway, so the Steampunk Pirates is a series that I wrote all about some sort of crazy robotic pirates, because once I got the idea for robot pirates, I thought, well, should they be robots from the future? No, they'll be robots from the past. And if they're robots from the past, then how will they work? They'll be mechanical men who are made with steam-powered technology and clockwork, mechanical men. But they wouldn't be made as pirates. You wouldn't make pirates, the bad guys. No, you would make them as servants. Well, unpaid servants, slaves. You would make them as unpaid servants for the king. And yet one day they would decide they didn't want to live a life of servitude. They didn't want to live a life of slavery, so they would pick up their pistols and cutlasses and steal a ship and steal away into the night. And they became vagabonds, and they became rogues, and they became pirates, and they became the Steampunk Pirates. And that was a series of mine which you can still find in libraries and maybe a bookshop occasionally. Who knows? Who knows what you'll find in a bookshop if you explore. So there we are, that was next series. But during this time, I've realised I'm slightly out of sequence with the events here, because after the Thornthwaite inheritance, the book about the pair of twins trying to kill each other, what did I do with that one? I put it down here. After this one, what I should have done, if I was one of those savvy authors that I just mentioned, is I would have followed up with another one of those, and I would have made my name as somebody who writes books, sort of slightly creepy books about people trying to kill each other, slightly dark, slightly scary books. But I didn't do that. I decided to write a crazy space adventure called Space Crime Conspiracy, and this came out, and I was very excited about this book because this was sort of hugely influenced by a series of books that I loved by Douglas Adams called A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I wanted to write my own crazy, wild space adventure. And it's about a boy called Stanley Bound. There's Stanley. And Stanley, who is an ordinary Earth boy, and then he finds himself accused of a terrible crime that he didn't commit, and he has to find himself innocent. That there behind him, lurking behind him, is a marauding picaroon, a bird-headed space pirate. Pirates again, and there crouching by his leg is Boosky Wretch, and then in the very small, you can see very small, there is a small mushroom called Spore. But this is one of those books where it's a sad thing, it's no longer in print. You can't find this book, you can't buy it anymore. You might still be able to find it in libraries, I hope so. This is a book I was very proud of, but totally failed to sell. Anyway, so moving on from that, I decided maybe I should go back to something slightly darker and creepier. And so I then came up with an idea. Well, the next idea came from, I was thinking about my cousins. I've got 7 cousins. And I was thinking about my cousins. I was thinking about how it's kind of interesting with cousins, isn't it? Because they're not quite, they're not like your brother and sister. You don't see them all the time. They're not like your friends. You don't see them every day at school. They're more like often you see them sort of once every 6 or 12 months. Well, I did anyway. Maybe you see them more often. Maybe yours live next door to you. I don't know. I don't know where your cousins live. Why would I know that? So I was thinking about that. And then I decided to write a book about cousins. But then that idea grew and developed, and it turned into this, The Considine Curse. Now, The Considine Curse is a book about a girl called Mariel, and she has 7 cousins, just like I have 7 cousins. You can see 6 of them there on the front cover and the 7th there on the back cover. And Mariel discovers she has these cousins. She's never met them until, it's not like me, I've seen them every so often. It wasn't that idea. She'd never met them until one day at her grandmother's funeral. She meets her cousins and she gets to know them. But the thing is, they're a bit weird. Not like my cousins. They have a strange, sinister, mysterious secret at the heart of that family. And the book is about her learning what that secret is. And when this book came out, I was quite pleased with it. But I was over the moon with it when it landed me my first National Book Award, the Blue Peter Book of the Year 2012. Look at that. Yay, Blue Peter. So it won that book award, which is a nice thing. I got to go on Blue Peter and accept the award and talk about my cousins and talk about my book. And that was a lovely moment. But where was I? Right, okay. So I've got through those ones. What should we go to next? Oh, yes. So after that, after the Considine Curse came out, I had a slight weird kind of wobble in my career where I had to move publishers. I didn't really want to. I don't really like moving publishers. I like being loyal and sticking with publishers, but I had to move the publishers, unfortunately, due to various complications. We won't go into it right now. And so I needed a really strong idea for my next book, because I had a new publisher and I needed something that would really work very well. And I didn't have one. I didn't have an idea at all, but I did have a cup of coffee, because I was in a coffee shop, and I was sitting in the coffee shop with a cup of coffee, and I was looking out the window of the coffee shop. No, not a cup of coffee shop, just a coffee shop. I was looking out the window of the coffee shop, and I saw across the road a shop, Sainsbury's. But next to Sainsbury's, there was another shop, and that shop was called Constable and Toop. And so I wrote down the name of the shop, Constable and Toop, and I thought, well, what would a book called Constable and Toop be about? And so I tried to figure this out, and I didn't really know what a book would be about. But I thought, well, there's a Mr. Constable and there's a Mr. Toop. So there's a Mr. Constable for sure, and there's also the Mr. Tube. What will these two people be doing? And I looked at the shop and realised it wasn't a greengrocer's, and it wasn't a shop that sold shoes. No, it was an undertaker's, a sort of shop that you go to if you need to arrange the funeral of someone. And so I realised that this was a book about death. And if this was a book about death, then maybe this was a book about what happened next. And of course, after death, some people believe there are ghosts. I don't personally believe in ghosts, but I do believe in ghost stories. And I thought, yeah, I'll write a ghost story. And then I looked back at the Victorian, because it was a kind of Victorian undertakers, and I realised that I was going to write a Victorian ghost story, and that's what I did. And this is the book. This is one of the covers. There are other covers available, as you can see. The publishers there have made it look like this won the Blue Peter Book Award, but it didn't. It was me that won it, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, so this book came out just after the Considine Curse, and it is my thickest book. Look at that. It's got the most words in it, and it's a big, sprawling London mystery, and it's pretty dark and sinister and scary in places, but also funny and silly in other places as well. And maybe we should do a little bit of a song for that one. So, the song for that one. I don't want to, make out that all of my songs are in G minor, but this one is as well. Anyway, it goes, and it goes like this. The first thing you hear when your head hits the floor, you hear that knocking on the unseen door. Take one step through that door, you won't be heard of forevermore. Down, down, down. By the way, all of these songs, if you want to hear them in fuller length and possibly better recorded than this, then you can go to my website and you can click on the video thing and listen to some of these songs again, if you like the sound of any of them. Anyway, so yes, I wrote that. I wrote the Constable and 2, and I'm beginning to wonder if this is the best way to do a video. Yes, no, it's fine. I think it's all right. But where should we go to? Oh, that's right. Let's start over this one. So after that, then I had to write another book for the same publisher, and I thought maybe I'll do another Victorian story. And so I thought, let's do this one. So I've decided to write this book. Now, the idea for this book, I came to me when I was. Where was I? I think I was in Chester. I was in Chester, and I was there for a book festival, and I was hanging around as you do, and I was looking in a local museum, and Chester has a lovely rich Roman history, and they have a local historical group called the Society of 13. And I liked the title, The Society of 13, so I stole it, and I borrowed it, and I put it on the front of a book, and I wrote this book, and it's a book about Victorian magic. But this magic is strange, dark, sinister, unnerving magic. And I wrote this book about Tom and Esther, a pair of orphans, and about how they get embroiled in this magic and how this magic awakens something within them. And I was very pleased with this book. I was very happy with it. There's a magpie up there that I used to use as a prop for this one when I was talking about it. But it's another one which is no longer available. But maybe it is in libraries. That's the nice thing about libraries. They keep books going even when they fall off the bookshelves. Anyway, so there we were, and there I was, and what's next? So let's go back to the series again. So we've done a couple of dark ones there. Let's go to something light again. So after I'd done the Steampunk Pirates and the Ninja Meerkats, I thought, well, I'm going to have to write something else now, because that's how it works. You have to keep writing things. And then I moved. I needed another idea, and so I went back to an idea I'd had some years ago, which was basically Men in Black but with animals. That was the idea, is that what do your dogs and cats do when you aren't watching them? Of course, what they are doing is they are keeping the Earth safe from alien attack. That was the idea. And so I wrote this series of books, Pet Defenders, and there we are. That's the first one, Attack of the Alien Dung. It's about a dog called Biscuit and a cat called Mitzi, and they are working to keep the Earth safe from alien attack. That one is Attack of the Alien Dung. The second one called Beards from Outer Space. This is one of my favourite ones, Beards from Outer Space. Partly because I like the idea and the concept, and partly because I had a really nice experience when the book got published like this. My son, who was a bit older than the last time I mentioned him, he was reading the book with my wife, and they were upstairs reading the book together, and I could hear them reading the book out loud, just as I can hear them now in the in my garden playing with lightsabers. But they were reading this book out loud, and they were laughing and they were enjoying enjoying it. And it was a really nice thing to do, to hear your family reading your book and laughing and enjoying it. So yeah, and then after that, Escape from Planet Bogey, where the pets finally leave planet Earth and they go to Planet Bogey. You get the idea of what sort of books these are. The fourth one is called Revenge of the Atomic Burps, and the fifth one is called Cheese from Dimension Pong. And somehow number 6, which is called Invasion of the Giant Nits, has gone missing in this incredibly messy office that you see here. Can you believe that I lose things in the office? Yes, you well can. Yes, so, and then let's go back over to this pile again now as we progress through the books. So, having written the books about, death and murder, and strange magic and ghosts, I then wanted to do something, again, of the same sort of ilk. And I'd been visiting a school. I spend a lot of time visiting schools, or at least I used to when you could. And maybe we will again soon, hopefully. I don't know. Anyway, so I spent a lot of time visiting schools, and I was reading these short stories that I had written based on my book, The Thornthwaite Inheritance, which I've buried again. Hold on, buried it again. Just making it more messy in here, to be honest. So the Thornthwaite Inheritance, and I'd written some short stories based on that I would used to read out loud, and people would have to try and guess who's going to die in this book, in this story. And I was enjoying it so much that I thought maybe if I could write a whole series of short stories like that. It's quite often hard to get short stories published, but I thought maybe if it's a sort of series and that's the link, that they're all you have to guess who's going to die. And then I started to write those short stories. But as I wrote it, as you write things, they change and it shifted, and it didn't become that. It became something rather different. It became this: Death or Ice Cream. Now, Death or Ice Cream is, in a sense, a series of short stories, but also it is a complete novel, because once you start reading these short stories, all of which take place in the same place of Larkin Mills, a fictional town that I created, and once you start reading all of those short stories and you read them together, they begin to bleed into one another, and you realise that these are not short stories. This is one complete novel all about death or ice cream. This one has a song too, and it goes like this. I'm going to read you the poem. It goes like this: Death or ice cream, which one, my friend? I said to the waiter, which do you recommend? The waiter replied, now I'm sure I can't say, but I'll give you my thoughts about that anyway. Ice cream's refreshing and melts on your tongue. It's sweeter than death, but it won't last as long. Ice cream is perfect for ending a meal, but if you want endings, death's the real deal. The thing is with ice cream is you don't have to eat it, but you can't deny death. You can fight but not beat it. It won't come with sprinkles or strawberry sauce. Death's not a pudding, it's your final course. I looked at the waiter and then understood when I noticed the scythe, the cloak and the hood. It's time for the bills, said his calming voice. And I knew death or ice cream wasn't a choice. So you have to go like this: death or ice cream. Everybody now: death or ice cream. And again: death or ice cream. And the song goes like this: would you sell your soul for a sorbet? How can that be wrong? A soul is an abstract concept anyway, and sorbets taste good on the tongue. The man who's asking is waiting by the gate, wearing a bright white grin. But another fellow also lies in wait, beckoning you to come in. Don't go in there, no, 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 no. Anyway, you get the idea. It goes like that. That's how the song for Death or Ice Cream goes. Sometimes people ask me what my favourite book is. This is definitely one of my favourite books that I've written, because it's different. It's different. You don't find many other books like this, or possibly any other books like that. Anyway, but moving on to some other books that I've written. This one, No True Echo, which came out after, where was I? I've totally lost the timeline of my career, which says a lot about my career, really. So this is called No True Echo, and this is a strange book. Again, it's got the sinister feel. There's a little bit of death and murder in there. It's kind of a murder mystery, but it's also a time travel book, and it's about a boy who keeps reliving the same day again and again, and it's one of those sort of things, and he has to work out why and what's going on, because he remembers it and he knows he knows that he is reliving it, but he doesn't know why, and he has to try and find out. The tricky thing about writing this is that I decided to write this without any actual plan or plot, and so it took a long time to get this book working, and I hope it does work. It hasn't, it didn't sort of set the world on light, but certainly the people who have read it, it does have its ardent fans, this book, which is really nice. Anyway, No True Echo, and it has a song, but I haven't got time to do all the songs, have I? And then finally, I did the thing which I should have done right back after writing the Thornthwaite Inheritance. After that, I wrote a book called The Thornthwaite Betrayal, which is the sequel. Now, once again, this is a fantastic cover. A lot of these covers are by Adam Stower, who is a fantastic, amazing illustrator. And with this one, with the first book, there were just 2 different ways of dying. With this one, I wanted twice as many, and if you can look at that carefully, you can see all 4 different ways, which means that when I finally get round to writing book number 3, we'll have to have twice as many again, Adam. Yes, that's right, we'll have to have 8 different ways of dying on that book. That's going to be hard, isn't it? Maybe that's why I haven't done it. Right, we're almost there. We're getting through it, aren't we? I have no idea how we're doing for time. I think we're getting towards the end. This is a little book that I wrote for Barrington Stoke. I really enjoyed writing this book. I really enjoyed writing for Barrington Stoke. I would really like to write another book for Barrington Stoke again in the future, if you're listening, Barrington Stoke. But this one was a heist book, basically, where some kids are failing maths, and so they decide to have to steal the maths exam paper. And I'm a big fan of heist movies, and so I sort of put all of those sort of elements, sort of little twists to the end where you think, oh no, they've got away with it, oh no, they haven't, and all that sort of thing. Page 5, and then there's some educational books that I've written. I say educational. What that means is that they're not available in bookshops. Not that all of these are anyway, but they're not even available to order from bookshops. They're more the sort of books you would find in school. This book, How to Get to School in 60 Seconds, was inspired by basically the school run. You know the school run? You're trying to get to school in the morning, your dad gets you up, or your mum gets you up in the morning, and you're like, come on, get ready for school, come on, stop eating your breakfast, come on, get your socks, all that sort of stuff. And so we were doing that, and we were flapping and trying to get to school on time. And then we were sitting at the bus stop, me and my son, and I turned to my son and I said, I wish this bus would just arrive. And my son said, well, I wish we had a button we could press and we would magically arrive at school. And I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. So I turned that into a book. And there was an inventor, and it was going to be an inventor dad. And I thought there's always inventor dad. So it's an inventor mum who comes up with these crazy ways to get her son to school. And the idea for that book was basically an ordinary child with an ordinary problem with an extraordinary solution, which I then used as the format to write 4 more books for a different publisher called the Project Book. Project Fame, Project Time, Project Pet, Project Grandma. Because this publisher, who are called Rising Stars, they said, can you write a series? And I'd just done all of those Pet Defender books about the pets fighting aliens. And I was thinking, I can't do any more. I can't put the world in peril and save it again. That's all I ever do. And so I decided to pitch them, and they went for it, luckily. A series which kind of isn't really a series. It's only connected by the fact they all go to the same school, and they all have the same plot of an ordinary child with an ordinary problem who comes up with an extraordinary solution. And we're almost there now. The other thing I do, I spend a lot of time on Twitter, as many authors do. And on Twitter, I spend a lot of time making jokes, some of which are appropriate to hear, some of which are not appropriate. But, that's the way it goes. And because I wrote so many jokes on Twitter, then a publisher of mine said, would you write some jokes for this for a magazine called Scoop? And so I wrote a few jokes for the magazine called Scoop. And then because I wrote the jokes for the magazine called Scoop, one of my publishers said, do you fancy writing a joke book? And I said, I'd love to write a joke book, but I can't do it on my own because that's too unnerving. So I asked my friend Rachel, who Rachel Delahaye, there you are. And I asked her whether she would write this joke book with me, and she said yes. And then we found the fantastic Nigel Parkinson to illustrate it for, who, as you can see there, illustrates the Beano, and which you can tell from the covers. You can tell there's very sort of Beano-esque pictures, aren't they? So this is a joke book, and it's a joke book with a difference, because this joke book, called The Daily Joker, has a joke for every single day of the year. Now, usually I will say with my books, by all means get them from the library. This one, it's a better book to own, really, because as well as having lots of hilarious, fantastic, that's non-negotiable, jokes, it also has these spaces where you can write your own jokes. And the idea is that by the end of the year, having learnt all of these jokes, and have learnt various techniques and found things about funny things that happen in history, you've also filled it with your own jokes, and you've become the funniest person in the world, which is good, because it's if you want to become an author these days, I generally say, you know, become a comedian first, because then you'll sell more books. Now, this brings us more or less up to date. I think we've got through everything. I missed one picture book. What's happened to my dinosaur picture book? I don't know what I've done with it. Man, I'm so disorganised. Oh, it's down here. Yeah, I didn't mention this one. This is called The Dinosaurs Are Having a Party, also illustrated by Gary Parsons, about some dinosaurs who are having a party. Yes, and that brings us up to date. It's 2020, and my latest series came out. And if you remember at the beginning of this, if you've managed to watch the whole of this, then you'll remember that at the beginning of it, I talked about the Dragon Detective Agency, the case of the missing cat. And even though those books fell out of print, they came back into print with fantastic new covers. Look at those covers by a chap called Scott. And this is the new one, Dragon Detective Catnapped, which is the rebranded, my first ever and my latest series. And the second one is called Dragon Detective School's Out, and that one has just come out. The idea was to come out around when school was going out, but then it turned out school went out slightly earlier this year, didn't it? Anyway, so that one's out there, and then the next one comes out in the autumn, and it's called Dragon Detective Sky High, and then the fourth and final one comes out next year, and that's called Dragon Detective That's a Wrap, which basically is where we're at now. That's a wrap. I think we must be long enough. So when I wrote the first series of Dragon Detective, I had a song that went like this. If you've got a problem, big or small, mystery to solve, and you don't know who to call, take my advice, yeah, listen to me. Call the Dragon Detective Agency. And then when I rewrote it, and some of it's changed, I went back to the song and added this bit. I'm talking Duck Dilly, the Dragon Detective, is so effective when he's detecting. The cat's got snaps and that's a fact. Gonna take a true detective to bring the monkeys back, jumping roof to roof to recover the truth and uncover the clues to discover the proof that the kinghorns are rising. Duck Dilly flies in, watch out, trouble coming over the horizon. Anchanatic of the licorice fanatic and the shade of a dragon who lives in the city. It's all going down in old London town, got a case to crack and a crate full of kitties. And that's basically it. My name is Gareth P. Jones, as you've seen from various covers of these books. This has been for Leeds Library. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful summer and read all sorts of books. Maybe some of them will be mine. And stay silly, folks. Thanks. Bye.